containers for Marine Attack Squadron 231 for today's flight.
Down at Cherry Point, right?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you, John, very much.
No
Ladies
problem.
and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the AV-8B Harrier II. And look off to the left, an airplane that just came zipping through. That's Bill Pirate Mills. And Bill is flying the Nanchang CJ-6. He's a graduate of the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis. He was the first Nugget naval aviator to be selected to fly F-18 Hornets and was assigned to the VFA 106 Gladiators down in Jacksonville, Florida at NAS Cecil Field. They're now located up at Virginia Beach at Naval Air Station Oceana, the master jet base. The aircraft he's flying, as you can see it diving in from the left, is a Chinese-built Nanchang CJ-6A. He calls it Pirate 86. Let's listen. Climbing quickly over the top to about 1,000 feet. He does a roundhouse, 5/8 of a roundhouse loop, throws the stick over to the right, and does 5/8 of a loop in a 1/2 Cubanate maneuver. That engine that powers it is just a 285 horsepower Husai 6A engine. It is a 9-cylinder radial engine. For the gear and the flaps and the brakes and the engine start, it's an all-pneumatic system. Air pressure does it. This airplane was built in 1985 in Nanchang, China for the People's Liberation Army. It was acquired in 2001 from the PLA, refurbished here in the United States in 2002. The markings that you see on it are basically communist Chinese. Additional tail markings are from the VFA 132 privateers. Bill Pirate Mills demonstrating the barrel roll using the ailerons, elevators, rudder, and throttle to start and stop at the same altitude and airspeed, rolling around a 45-degree imaginary point in the sky up and to the left of the airplane. Pirate, as we call him, Bill Mills, is a combat pilot deployed with the VFA 132 privateers aboard the USS Coral Sea and the USS Forrestal, flying 16 combat sorties over North Iraq while earning the Top Hook honors. And there's that barrel roll, maintaining 1G, 1 gravity all the way through. He was selected and attended the prestigious U.S. Navy Fighter Weapons School Top Gun at NAS Miramar. Following his combat tour with the privateers, Bill became an FA-18 flight instructor for the East Coast Replacement Air Group, the Gladiators at Cecil Field, while simultaneously serving as an instructor and evaluator for the station's C-12, the King Air, logistics support aircraft. During that time, he was also the East Coast Nuclear Weapons Delivery Instructor for all tactical aircraft authorized to deploy air-launched nuclear weapons for the United States Navy's inventory. He resigned his commission shortly after selection to the rank of Lieutenant Commander to enter the civilian world back in 1994. But in 2001, realizing that he needed to get back into the air, he purchased this Nanchang CJ-6 tactical trainer. It's a high-performance warbird painted up in his former Navy squadron's VFA 132 privateers colors. He's an air transport pilot, a certified flight instructor for instrument flight. Lots more ratings that he takes care of, and also is a formation training lead instructor, formation pilot. Banking sharply to the right and yanking the stick back into his lap, he pulls 5 Gs and then heads up on the 45, throws the stick over to the left into a 90-degree bank, and pulls the smoke. One interesting thing about the engines on these aircraft, both Soviet and these Chinese aircraft in their radial engines have engines that turn the opposite direction from American-built engines or Western-built engines. In this airplane, From the pilot's point of view, the propeller turns in a counterclockwise direction. In American-built airplanes of piston engine types, from the pilot's view, the propeller rotates in a clockwise direction. When you're flying both types of airplanes, you really have to get your brain in gear to do that, because in an American piston engine aircraft, when you shove the throttle forward, you gotta compensate for the torque of the engine with some right rudder. In the case of the Nanchang CJ-6 and the Yakovlevs and some of the other Sukhois and Soviet or Russian-built aircraft, I should say, you gotta put left rudder in on takeoff to counteract the torque. Bill started Blue Sky Yakrobatics Incorporated as an aviation entertainment company which produces the annual Wings Over Flagler Air Show at Flagler Beach, Florida. Never losing his love of tactical jet flying since he flew Hornets, he was able to acquire a Russian L-39. Is going to paint it up in his old VFA 106 Gladiator colors to honor his former squadron. A nice round sounding growl of that engine at only 285 horsepower is amazingly similar to the sound of a much higher powered engine that the Navy and Air Force used on the T-28 Trojan aircraft that was first flown back in 1948. Pitch up right now, nose comes up, is the CJ-6. Bill Pirate Mills is going to take it into the downwind to land on runway 1 right. So we launched the GEICO Skytypers. Take a look at the airplanes taking off right now. The aircraft flying now date back to 1938 when they were first built. There's Bill Pirate Mills in the CJ-6 there with a combination of Chinese markings and also his Navy markings from the privateers when he was down there at NAS Cecil Field.